talk about a person who was going through pretty much about that amount of tests as well. Job. Job himself was being tested. He didn't understand why he was being tested because he knew he was doing everything that he was supposed to do at the moment when he needed to do it. He was covering his family. He was covering himself. He was covering his future. He knew that everything was fine. So when he went through the test, he didn't understand the test, but he never cursed God. He never cursed Elohim in the midst of that test. And remember, that was the strongest part of the test. Satan said, I bet you I can make him curse you. The Lord said, not Job. Oh no, you can't make him curse me. The first thing that was taken away from Job was his oxen and his asses were taken, and his servants were killed by the sword. Very quickly it happened. And only one man survived to come tell him about the story. The second thing that happened to him is that the sheep and the servants were all burned up. Fire came out of heaven and just burnt up the sheep and the servants, and only one person, just me alone, made it back to be able to tell you what happened. The third thing what happened to him is the camels were taken by the Chaldeans. It's amazing how we were talking about the Chaldeans, and now his camels were taken by the Chaldeans, along with his servants that were over the camels were all killed. Third thing that happened now. And only one person survived to make it back to Job to be able to tell Job this is what happened. A house fell on his kids and killed them instantly, all of his kids. And only one person made it back alive to be able to tell Job what happened. The fifth thing that happened to him is his body was full of sores and boils from the sole of his feet to the crown of his head. Still, Job didn't curse the Lord. His wife, the person who's supposed to be his side bone, the person who's supposed to be with him through thick and thin, told him, listen, after all this don't happen and the way you look, why don't you just curse God and die? The person who you think will be there to lift you up was tearing you down and did not believe in the turnaround that Elohim would make for your situation because she saw no good in the situation coming about. Her thing was better to be dead than to have to deal with what you're dealing with. The seventh thing that happened to him was here come his friends. Along came his friends and added fuel to the fire. Remember we were just talking about the fiery furnace. How the fiery furnace got heated up 7 times hotter than before. And once you make it to the seventh thing that was going on with Job, it was his friends adding fuel to the fire. To make it that much hotter than what Job already felt like he was going through. Same thing happened with Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar was furious. He was like the enemy. The enemy was furious, and so what the enemy did to get back at Job, he hit him with trials. 7 trials that made him feel like he was in a fiery furnace, burning up 7 times hotter than normal. In 320, let's jump to 320. Real quick. He gave mighty men from his army a commandment to go in there and to throw Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego into the fiery furnace. Now, what they put them in there with, they were bound. By the time they came out, nobody had to loose those shackles off of them. Nobody had to let them free because they were in there with the Son of God. Did not Yahushua said, whom the Son has set free is free indeed? They didn't have to wait to be released out of the fiery furnace in order for somebody to release them because the Lord had already did it. Yahuwah had already did it. This is the type of battles you want to be in the midst of. The battle where you ain't got to do nothing. The victory is already won and the enemy gets to see you walk in the victory. I can remember an incident that happened with my brother. I, at the time, was off doing ministry, me and my husband, and we had to do ministry out of town at that particular time. We were in a whole nother city worshiping God. He was doing the camera portion and doing the music portion during that particular event. And me, I was performing and worshiping God in song at this particular event. Okay, well, at this time, while I was gone, my brother got very sick. My oldest brother got very sick. And in the midst of him being very sick, things started to turn for the worse. He ended up in the hospital. And once he ended up in the hospital and everybody found out that things weren't looking good for him, my phone started ringing off the hook. So I asked my sister, who was still in town, can you go to the hospital, and be there with him, since I'm away and I can't be there. But my prayers are with you all. And my sister said, yes, I will go and I will be there. Even when my sister made it there, she kept talking about how everybody kept asking for me. Where's your sister? Why is she not here? We've called her plenty of times. I don't understand why she's not here. She should be here during these rough times for him, during these moments, that he's going through. So I had a couple of performances that I had to do, and each time I was not performing, I was talking to my family members to find out and see what was going on with my brother. I felt like I was going to be done with the event in enough time to go there, but the event ended up going over past that time. It was like a whole nother day later by the time I actually made it over to the hospital. So they made me feel so bad about the incident. And one of the things that I said to them is, who am I? Besides me sending up prayers, that's all I can do. And the prayer that I sent up, I sent the ultimate doctor into that hospital with him. I sent him in there and prayed that he would guard the hands of the doctors that's in there, that he would guard their minds and give them the things that they needed in order for the surgery to go off well. Anything that my brother needed, that they would be able to provide for him. I have no power of myself, and I understood that I had no power of myself. I am only a vessel to be used. But in the midst of me being used, I'm supposed to pray without ceasing. And that's exactly what I did. Every time after I was not performing, I was going before the Father with the situation. There was a man of God that was there, and he said, whatever is bothering you, I want you to leave it at the altar. And actually really leave it at the altar. Don't pick it back up and take it away with you because you don't believe and trust that Elohim can bring it to pass. But leave it at the altar and release it. And watch Elohim work. Watch the Lord work. And that's exactly what I did. I went to the altar, I prayed with him, and I left it. And when I left it, I walked away. By the time I made it back to our hometown, I found out that my brother's heart had stopped 3 times. 3 times his heart had stopped. And the doctors were astonished that he was still alive. They had never seen anybody who had went through that much and was still able to make it. So one of the questions that the doctor, along with the nurse, wanted to know, what kind of prayer did you pray? Who is it that y'all was praying to that brought about this type of change? I've been in this profession for a long time, but that was a true miracle. And we let them know we're praying to the one and only true Elohim that can bring about those type of miracles. So once again, this had nothing to do with me, but it had something to do with my obedience. I stood on faith that I knew what Elohim could do without me. There are prayers you can send forth. You don't have to be in the destination in order for it to come about. My brother was in the midst of his own fiery furnace, and he came out. Not saying he came out unscathed, no, because I'm not trying to even say that he was living a full, holy, or godly life, because if you know my brother, then you know that that was not the area of his situation at that particular time. Did he see things differently once he came out of that? He did, for a while. But even us, like I said, when you're dealing with the world around you, the flesh still kicks in. You still start doing those same things that got you back in the situation that put you in the hospital in the first place. Will he eventually learn? It is my prayer that he will, that he'll learn before it's too late. But my brother has that mentality that we all gonna die of something. That's a very true statement. But I don't want to be the cause of my death. I don't want to be the reason why I'm bringing death on me early. Nobody wants to do that. If I have a choice to live my life to the fullest, I'm going to live my life to the fullest. In my eyes, is living my life to the fullest, living it out of the will of the Father? No, that ain't living my life to the fullest. Is living my life foolishly. I don't want to do that. Because I have plans. I have things that I want to see. Things that I want to do when this life is over. When this life is said and done, I want to make it to the promised land. I have a person over there that I'm waiting to see, that I'm longing to see. So I push, I drive, not only for the ones that I still have here, but for also the ones that I already know that is waiting for that designated time and hour too. I don't want to be the one who missed out or in regret during that moment because I cannot turn back the hands of time because of my decisions that I made. Every decision that we make is crucial. If you're still breathing, do you still have time for correction? You do. But if you have gotten so clouded by the things of this world that you no longer can see truth, it doesn't mean that you're going to make it out before. It doesn't mean that you're going to find clarity before it all ends. Or it could possibly mean that you're really going to have to majorly go through before you finally come to the understanding that that was the actual way. Remember, there are so many roads that you can go down, but there's only one that leads to Elohim. So you have to make the right choice of that one.